Good Friday, everyone. It's Footy Prime here once again with you. Another busy day, busy weekend. We've got Canada in the Gold Cup final. Sorry, Jesus, getting ahead of myself there.
I thought I missed a week.
Yeah, quarterfinal. Let's just record this for next week and just play it. Why not?
Right.
You know, Guatemala, and then the States probably. Yeah, should be all right. Maybe Costa Rica. Who knows? Hey, they're playing Colombia though in October. That was
Yeah, explain it. We'll talk about that, but I thought, hey, they're playing in the States because for better weather. I get it. Newark, New Jersey, or wherever they're playing. That doesn't, like, Toronto and New Jersey have the same weather.
No, they're not that far away from each other.
No.
I wonder why that
No,
is.
it'll be a promoter that's putting it on, and it's if Canada were going to play Colombia in Canada, they would probably want a fee. So there's something going on with that. So Canada's probably making a few bucks off this.
Well, fair enough then.
Yeah,
Make your money. Make your money, Canada soccer.
We're good against Colombia on neutral ground, especially in the States.
Hey now, sure are, Craig. They'll bring the old memory flashes back to 2000.
Oh, undefeated
2-0.
lifetime.
Undefeated lifetime. They're like Rocky.
But it is a good get, though, Craig. Colombia, top 15 side in the world, and South American, because we don't know who obviously will be drawn with, but they're playing in recent months, African teams, European teams, now South American teams. That's important.
Really important. We were screaming that for a long time when they were
Who's
playing.
we? Us?
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
us. Yeah. Playing against other opposition and from different confederations is really important for your development. This Gold Cup's important. When you look at what's going on at that El Salvador game, it's a completely different profile that you're going to play against Colombia and Côte d'Ivoire, Ukraine. You know, it's all very, very good for the team.
We should mention that was Craig Forrest, who knows a thing or two about these things. We have Dan Wong here. We have Jeff Cole. I'm James Sharman. Jimmy can't make it today, but Dubsy will be jumping on. She's got a far more important engagement on TSN radio, I believe it is, isn't it, Wonger?
Yeah, TSN local. Local radio.
He puts us to the side. Not that we actually ever generally do podcasts on Fridays, so it works out really well. Yeah. But still, we'll still mock her for choosing TSN.
But why are we doing a podcast on a Friday?
Well, it's because there's Club World Cup.
Everybody, join the club. It's the Club World Cup on Footy Prime.
And we'll have a special pod, of course, as usual. But the group round has wrapped up, and if you're fortunate to watch every game on DAZN live, you can keep doing that through the knockout phase as well. So we'll get to that later. Lots to talk about. Obviously, some pretty juicy matchups in the quarterfinals.
Round of 16, yes, quarterfinals.
Right. Yeah, thank you.
Are you okay today?
I'm tired.
That's not quarterfinals. In round of 16.
No, you're right. Round of 16, glitching. That's normal for me though, not for Sharps.
Oh no, it is. It's quite normal for me to get that kind of stuff mixed up. Yeah, I'm just quite tired this week. It's been a busy week, you know. What can I say?
Yeah,
lots going on. You got some comments though we want to get to today as well.
I do.
Right?
You know what?
Now or
top of our show, you mentioned a couple things. Ruud van Nistelrooy got fired. That was interesting.
9 weeks after the season ends.
It's so weird. Not only that, now it's only 8 weeks before the season starts again, or 6 weeks before the season starts.
Some teams, their camps start next week.
Right.
That's right.
Craig, if you're Leicester, from his standpoint, it kind of sucks too, because a lot of the jobs have been taken now that he may have been open to keep a guy, strung along. I mean, who knows? Maybe they fell out over transfers. I don't know. This is just breaking as we're recording this, right? But it seems odd to fire a guy 9 weeks after the season ends and literally weeks before the season begins.
Yeah, I think Leicester might be into some financial problems too. We expected that because they were pushing the envelope on financial fair play. That could have played a part too.
It's a shame because that ownership was just beloved not so many years ago. And then, of course, the tragedy when the owner died in the helicopter crash, his son, Top, takes over. And it was still smooth there for a while, but now there's a lot of resentment, anger, frustration from the fan base towards the ownership, which is, considering where they were all those years ago, Craig, that's really sad, but that's football for you, I guess.
It is. And it's hard for them to keep punching above their weight in the Premier League with the big boys. And eventually they fell out, which was inevitable in my opinion. But
So Rude's available. If anyone
so Rude's available.
We should get him on Footy Prime. Hey, we've got some interviews. People have been reaching out to us to talk to us.
Yeah, we have.
Even crazier, want to thank everybody. We were #1 this week in the podcast charts. And that felt so good. So thank you, everyone, for supporting us. And just another reminder, something else that we haven't talked about a lot this week because of all the football all over the world was the Pride match tonight in Toronto at BMO, Canada's women's national team versus Costa Rica's women's national team. So I think Dubs is covering that on One Soccer, right?
She is, yeah. Yeah, she'll be doing it. And the, as mentioned last time, the Women's Euros kicks off as well shortly.
With Rian, yeah.
Rian Wilkerson and Wales, who should be everyone's other team if they have a horse in the race.
Yeah.
By the way, the men's U21s Euros, Craig, final this weekend, England, Germany.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We're going to find all this time to watch all this stuff.
Oh, God.
I don't know.
Well, I guess maybe that's where I was leading to. People sometimes say, why don't you cover this more? Why don't you cover that more? And Sharms and I, sometimes we disagree because I'm naive. We don't know enough. We don't have enough people. We don't have enough scalability. We don't have enough money to devote to more leagues right now. So what we're doing right now is our wheelhouse. We appreciate all of the suggestions and keep them coming, but that's why.
That's a great point. I want to mention that Footy Prime has always been, from day one, there was no mandate. There was no, way we should do it. It was basically, what do we like? Let's talk about that. And if we don't cover certain leagues, games, teams, sorry, we can't watch it all. And there's a lot of leagues and games and teams that I don't care about. These guys don't care about. It's that simple. And we're going to focus on what we like to do and what we like to watch. And I think we were pretty...
I didn't know there was an under-21 World Cup going on.
Euros,
sorry. I didn't know that.
Didn't you?
I did not know that.
Well, that's understandable. I mean, there's a lot of football, and we're covering the Club World Cup on Footy Prime all month. We've got the Gold Cup as well. So there's a lot going on, not to mention the NSL, CPL, MLS kicked off again this past week. So that's kind of what we do. And like Wonger said, and this is not a complaint, trust me, but this is a side hustle. No, it's not even that. Really. It's a hobby.
It's an investment right now.
We're working. It's an investment. We're working on it. We are.
Yeah,
exactly. So we will have other things we do. So we can't devote our entire day to this, unfortunately. Although sometimes it feels that way, and we do put some serious hours in. And that's not a complaint or a whine. I'm just trying to make it very clear. I know there's networks who are doing similar things to us now, I guess. And they've got full-timers and staff. They got crews. They got, staff. Hey, and we're still better than them. So,
well, who's #1?
Well, this week.
No, we are always in the top 10. And here's something interesting. I was looking at.
I thought you were going with the gold member. One of the gold members. Where's number 2?
Who's number 2 work for? Amy Walsh is who they work for.
Hey,
how
now
are
we're
you guys?
#1. Hey,
Dubs, I was just saying.
No, we just dropped.
In the toilet. So if you have a look at the North American charts, so when we beat out, ESPN, and let's have a look here. When we beat out ESPN, Goal Hanger, iHeartRadio, The Overlap, the Guardian, the Arsenal blog, BBC. These are heavy hitters. And if you look around the world, like in the English speaking world, at who is number in the top 10, it's all these other ones. It's all these ones that we beat. So I think that's a testament to everything that we've been doing, and all our fans and listeners who enjoy our, brand of whatever it is we do. But the fact that across the board, we're beating international hits, like international recognized podcasts that we are beating and competing with all the time. And so hats off to all of y'all, because y'all do great stuff enough to, be number one.
Hey,
So do you,
now.
count yourself in and amongst that group.
Mhm.
Would anyone be interested in doing a lifestyle podcast?
Yeah.
No,
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
We
wouldn't,
talked
Dubs,
about
really?
this.
no.
Yeah, anything but footy.
Yeah, I love it.
There's more money in it, Dubs.
Is there?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But we'll do it within the Footy Prime. We'll start off within the Footy Prime kind of circles. Whenever I start that word, I know. Dubs
I know
is
exactly.
No. Stop
But
it.
immediately we could, call in some of our friends who are heavy hitters in other industries and have conversations with them, where people go, "Oh, that's interesting." So anything but footy hits the Footy Prime. I think that's something that I would love to do.
If you look at
Can
the
I just-
global,
yeah.
Go ahead, Dubs.
I was just going to say that my hesitation or reticence around that is that what people love about this podcast is not only the insightful football chat and the credible voices, I think that we already have here to do that, but is that we do ebb into the absurd, and we do already ebb into or edge into lifestyle chats. So I would be fearful that Footy Prime then would lose its sauce and its flavor, because it would be maybe more strictly football, and then we would have a lifestyle brand.
No,
and
they wouldn't even do
No.
that. Nothing would
that's
change.
annoying. It'd be like mom and dad separating, and then like mom's place does
That's-
this, and then dad's place is for watching the pornos or whatever. Like I
You're
don't know.
overthinking it, Dubs. Well, clearly.
I wouldn't know.
It is, but
the box of Playboys in the basement.
no, nothing would change. That's the point. Though. Nothing would
No.
change in Footy Prime. This is what it is, right? It's just I'm honestly purely looking at it, and I haven't given it much thought, honestly, other than last night. But it's purely for money.
No,
This-
I don't
there's
think
way
that's
more
true.
sponsors
I don't think that's
interest-
true. I think it's also because we are multidimensional people, and we love talking footy, like Dubs just said. But I think there's other things that we could introduce people to in our lives, or not our lives, but our interests that would interest them.
Most of them,
You know.
maybe not all. Maybe some people will have no
How
interest.
about that?
My
Why don't we-
boudoir,
why don't we take suggestions?
interests.
No.
Why don't we take suggestions from our fans? If you were to
Yeah.
have a spin-off show that had nothing to do with footy, doesn't have to be sports, what would you want to listen to?
But with
Would
our
it be-
tone,
Yes.
tone still.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
pet care. There's as Dubs mentioned, sauce and dips, etc. Food,
Pies.
Mm.
Pies. Could do a
Pies.
podcast.
Do you know
The
anything
pie
about that?
The
I
I do, and I'm sure that the people are just anxious to hear more and learn more about them.
Sure.
The world of pies.
Can Lisa Bonet be on our spinoff?
Oh, I love that.
She
I
can-
love
she
Lisa
can
Bonet
spin off
so
me.
hot.
Remember
Yeah.
when A Different World started? Like that was
It's
cool.
a different world.
She gave
felt
me a
cool
Lisa
just
Bonet.
watching that.
From where you come from.
Is she still married to Lenny Kravitz?
No.
No.
But every song that he writes is about her.
And
Oh, really?
she married
Is it?
Jason
Yeah.
Momoa, and then they broke up about him.
She
was-
married Jason Momoa. She's tiny.
So is he, I heard.
Don't pretend like you're concerned for her welfare,
He's
please.
got a micro P.
I bet he doesn't.
Yeah, allegedly. He has
What
a
did I
micro.
walk
Allegedly.
into? What have you
Oh,
guys
really?
been talking about before I showed up?
Yeah.
We were thanking
Friday.
everybody. We
We
were
don't often
just
do a Friday podcast like this, do we? So this,
Yeah.
is, this is what it is. This is what the new show could be. Anything but footy. This is it.
There are 2 people listening still.
Oh, let's
Thanks,
talk about
guys.
some footy then. Let's talk about some footy, some soccer.
all right. Here's some soccer.
Some sacker.
Let me read that.
Pulling out some comments from Wonger's mailbag. John Burns 9634. I was very impressed with the composure of the Canadian team and the polite way they scored in the second half. They didn't give anything for El Salvador to use. And then Cryops. This is awful for the Concacaf brand. Why would quality players want to play in a tournament with these shenanigans? If Marsh was suspended 2 games, El Salvador should receive a hefty fine. Their head coach suspended, and the team warned that behavior is unacceptable and could lead to a team suspension from a future Gold Cup or qualification tournament. Sorry, it's morning. And then our friend James Hills, love your tracksuit, Craig. Up the town. And Yves La Rochelle, 2519. I think that's a made-up name. It was allowed to hurt Canada for the rest of the tournament. A few bruises, slow the players, and get back at Marsh. So there's a couple things I was going to think about that I was thinking about when I was pulling these ones was how many comments, first of all, there were. Second of all, how come there was no, is there ever any issue with, hey, you get 2 red cards and the team is held responsible other than just the red cards? Is there further penalties?
Well, individually there is for sure. Like
but not as a team. Like,
fines, you mean? It's a good question. I don't know.
If the game was abandoned because there was 4 red cards, then there would be fines.
And so 4 is, and this is what I'm learning. Yeah, 4 is 3. The threshold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, 3 you're allowed. I played in a game with West Ham when we had 3 sent off. We were down 3.
And did they abandon?
Abandoned. Pardon?
Did they abandon the match?
No, but 1 more we would have.
Okay. Dubs?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that we're not at a point yet where, like, from a fair play perspective, the team as a unit can't get sanctioned or fined unless it's, as Forrest says, the game is abandoned. But maybe we're at a point where we might have to, because something that grabbed my attention was the Concacaf brand. So like we talked about this, like if the casual fan tunes in and wants to support Canada, because I think you do feel the momentum kind of growing, and they tune into that match and they're like, what the hell is this? Like, and that's a deterrent potentially. And that unfortunately is part of that Concacaf brand. So if you're Concacaf, if you're Victor, you're cognizant of that. I don't know if you're able to affect any change in the way that tactics are deployed in an attempt to hurt, to harm, to be reckless, to play this anti-football brand of football, right? Are you in a position there where you can say you're not allowed to do that? Like, what sort of parameters could you even start to put into place to prevent that from happening?
I wonder if you can hold the coach accountable. You can maybe start fining
That's coaches. What I was thinking. Yeah.
But I mean, how do you even prove it? I mean, your coach just says, I've got aggressive players. They were really up for this battle. You know, what can I do? Once the whistle blows and the mist descends, it's tough to prove anything. And listen, that's not as dirty as it was. We've seen worse as well.
As dirty as it was, you used a butcher's thumbnail.
I know.
You fully leaned into it.
Yeah, I know.
You're like, terrible match. Worried for their safety. Great idea for a thumbnail.
Boys. I was terrified every time. But I mean, we have seen worse. I mean, was it the World Cup a few years ago? The Dutch was it Spain? What game was that? It was crazy. Oh, I forget now which one it was. It was just
in the World Cup.
Yeah, in the World Cup.
The Dutch against Argentina. That's why.
Argentina? Was that the one?
That's why they almost came to blows again. They weren't the same 2 players, but it was who was it again? It was Dumfries, right? Who wanted to fight him in the tunnel. Right. I think it's traced back to that. And remember, like, the hell was his name again? The Dutch coach, Koeman? No.
Was it Koeman?
I think so. Anyway, he had said something about Messi, like there were pre-match comments, right? And mudslinging. And then Messi scored the penalty, remember? And he stood in front of the bench like this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then I think there was a whole bunch of stuff in that match that was not good. So I suspect this was as part of the Club World Cup. This is Dumfries having a memory like an elephant.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, I think also with El Salvador, they knew they were done. They were out. Whereas you're playing Guatemala next, and Guatemala are on the brink of, a quarterfinal, a semi-final. Sorry, we're in the quarterfinals now, the Gold Cup. So I don't think this is necessarily a symptom of a greater evil within CONCACAF necessarily.
No, but Dub asked the question, what could be done? Is there any way to make perhaps the refereeing? Perhaps, and I'm sure CONCACAF is graded by each match, just like everyone does in the professional leagues now. But all of a sudden, you're like, which referee controlled the match properly, which didn't, which let things go that led to, and you obviously need someone auditing these things and making these decisions, because it can't just be the other coach, because one could say that was a 10 because we won, or that was a 0, right? It doesn't make any sense. There's got to be someone auditing this stuff and saying, Craig and I are big NBA fans, and we know that NBA is ranked, and I've seen it in World Cup, they don't bring in the shite referee. They bring in the best referees for the World Cup, for NBA finals, playoffs, all across the board. So maybe that becomes a bigger part of what CONCACAF can do to protect teams across the board.
I think they're already there as far as being assessed heavily and watched very, very carefully by the assessors.
Yeah.
And I thought the referee in that game against El Salvador did a pretty good job.
I
agree.
don't disagree with you.
Mhm.
I'm just talking about there were parts of that match where, and the only reason I bring it up is because you're talking brand again. That's why I wanted to talk about it. Was Sharm said the other day, if this is your first entry to see this is not the brand and marketing you want to display. And our friend Asa Ramon from Vancouver said, Ramon. Love that CONCACAF is not an entry-level viewing experience. Makes it sound like it's an acquired taste. You don't start with whiskey. That's what cider is for. And I love that.
So true.
But doesn't it show that match, if this is your back to first time watching, or hey, we're watching the match together. Do you know what I mean? Let's all get together. And this is what you're seeing. I told you guys, I fell asleep because I was so exhausted with watching that first half. And I went, I can't keep watching this.
I don't know. For me, it was like a train wreck. I couldn't stop watching it.
That's why we're different.
In defense of whiskey, though, I don't think we can call El Salvador whiskey. It's more like some kind of backstreet distillery churning out moonshine. That's what El Salvador is.
That's right.
Right. I mean, that's pretty rough booze I saw on the pitch.
Speaking of distilleries, why don't everybody go to FootyPrime.com and order themselves, or we are FootyPrime.com, pardon me, and order themselves a delicious bottle of One Ball Gin from Nickel 9 Distillery.
Why not they do that?
Nice segue. That's great.
Yeah. You know what El Salvador was? It was that meat that Frank Costanza got when he was feeding the guys in Vietnam, and he was too proud, and he thought that he could add the right spice blend and feed it to everybody, and everyone got sick.
It was Korea, and it was Prime Texas Spear, and it was the best before date was 3 weeks past.
Right.
But he overseasoned it.
And he also
has a PTSD, right? Like, that one.
Yeah. And he also looked exactly the same. They just put a weird hat on him.
So good.
By the way, we're only referring to El Salvador's football here, just to clarify here.
Yeah.
Not El Salvador as a country, just purely as their footballing tactics on the pitch against Canada a few days ago.
Oh, the people of El Salvador are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you were talking about they shouldn't be seeing the same thing against Guatemala, which we'll touch on. Guatemala, best they've ever finished in the Gold Cup history is 1996, and they came fourth. So just so everyone knows, this is a big deal for them.
No Eustachio, we believe. Now, I know someone asked, I forget whether it was on the YouTube channel or socials, saying, why would they pick him for the squad if he's not coming? You know, it's a squad place for Canada, and you can't change a squad during the tournament. And I think the hope was that he would be able to still come when they made that selection. But I believe Porto have basically put pressure on their players. We had a terrible Club World Cup. Bit embarrassing. We're going to maybe come into camp earlier than we planned.
Yeah.
And that's why. Right, Craig? I think that's probably the
reason. That could be it. He'll be under pressure from his club. And he wants to perform, and he needs to play for Porto. It's a tough one for the players sometimes to make that decision, or the pressure that you're under to do that. And I think that's when the national team have to weigh things up and go, okay, stay where you are, stay with Porto. We need you during the year to be playing for them, and staying with them is the best thing for you.
Still, this team could sure do with Eustachio in that midfield.
Yeah.
We've seen some combinations and some good performances from the central midfield, but that's such a big question mark right now. Who is going to partner Eustachio? Well, it's quite the battle at the moment, but in these games and potentially a first trophy since 2000, I want to see that guy on the pitch in these big games, that's for sure. So,
Can I ask Dubs and Craig, at center, there's two players who are in that position. If you have one that's a for sure, do you go, hey, who's your best chemistry with? If you're a coach sometimes, even if it might not be your coaches for that partnership, who do you feel most comfortable with if you have someone who's an incumbent player?
I mean, who works best together as opposed to the best player necessarily?
Yeah.
It's always a consideration. for sure. But I think in the middle of the park, because I think your performance is so contingent upon the successful battle won there, like oftentimes games are won and lost in the heart of the midfield, in the middle of the park, like aside from winning duels and tackles and recoveries and all that sort of stuff, it's just, can you dictate play from there? And so it's very much about how those two players or even three players combine, but it's also about their profiles, who's going to sit back a little bit deeper and screen the back line, who's going to be the player who's winning the balls and then feeding it to others to start the attack, who's going to be that box-to-box player who's got the engine but also has the quality to pull the strings from a little bit deeper, and who's going to be that player who's floating around similar to like a Jonathan David, who drops a little bit deeper to link up and can kind of orchestrate attacks. I think Canada's lacking a player who is very clearly that right now. We've talked about that before on this podcast, but I think the idea of a Nico Segur, who is so versatile and could maybe help out against teams depending the way that they line up, where they might want to be trying to create an overload in the middle of the park, where he can maybe be in there with, say, a Eustáquio if he's available, and a Saliba or a Kone or a Chouanière and a Nico Segur, and you've got three, and then when you attack, maybe he drifts a little bit wider. You know, like that is something else I think that Jesse Marsh is looking at when he looks at the upside to a player like Segur. You
find a way to get him in there, you think, but Craig, this we're not here at this point now. I'm not saying it, but remember the whole Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard discourse for so many years in England, and why they were by far the two best midfielders in English football, by far, English players in English football. They could not play together.
Well, that's what it
just didn't work. And they tried, and in the end, Gerrard was moved out to the right, where he's not as effective. And it's one of the most frustrating things. Why are these world-class footballers unable to figure it out themselves and say, okay, you stick, you go? It isn't difficult, but they're just two similar players, I suppose. And that was what a crying shame. What a missed opportunity for England. Not having those two guys.
I remember that really well. They were tossing and turned in what to do with those two and why they weren't performing together. It just shows you that putting teams together and players and abilities and all these different things are not as easy as it looks like.
That's why Galacticos doesn't always work, right? Just get the best 11 players in the world and put them on the pitch together. No.
Yeah, it doesn't always work. Money will buy you a contender, but not always a winner.
As a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, boy, do I know that.
You know that.
Yeah, Toronto FC, high spenders.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Hey, they got a point this week.
They did?
They actually played quite well, in fairness. I don't know if you guys watched the match. Did you talk about it yesterday?
No, but I watched the highlights.
Yeah.
Corbianu scored again.
He's a good player, Corbianu. He really is. Montreal was smashed, and Vancouver lost as well.
Vancouver looked like they were missing like 36 guys. They're down
they are.
They're down to their under 16 team. It looked like.
Yeah. Just stay in the hunt, Vancouver. Just stay in the hunt. You know, who cares about finishing first? Supporter Shield. Who cares?
It's a good story, though. I want Vancouver to have a good story.
It would be nice, but let's get this team healthy and ready for the playoffs.
But isn't it strange that in our North American system with the Gold Cup and the Club World Cup, that MLS players, are being taken away, not a lot of them for Club World Cup, but they're being taken away from their league sides to the, you're a top team. Vancouver is the Whitecaps are one of the top teams, were the top team in the West before this match. And they're being, it's worse for them. They don't have any benefit of having the best players because those best players get called up to their national team. And actually it hinders their performance. So it's just it's an irony. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's ironical.
I think that the solution, Dubs, is, and we haven't discussed it before, but we need to add a couple more months into the year.
Yeah, right.
Right? Wouldn't that be the solution? Right? I mean, I've often thought we're missing a number between 1 and 10. Throw one more in there, make life a lot easier. But add a couple more months into the calendar, right? And suddenly you can rest for a couple of months. Isn't that the easy solution?
What would you call it? What would that extra month be called?
September the 41st.
Yeah.
Well, the number I always thought was Ream. I thought Ream's got a nice number, nice ring to it. It could be
like Tim Ream?
It was between 7 and 8. 7 Ream 8. So stupid. Sorry.
But I thought that's why 6 was scared of 9.
No,
No,
7, 8, 9.
I know, because 7, 8, 9. No, something like that.
Yeah, that's right. I think it is right. Brilliant. We're around the half an hour mark. We've got another podcast to record here. You want to get some more stuff? Or
Yeah, there's another one. Human rights. Human rights. That's his name. Human rights dash X15EF. This is someone who went, I'm going to put my regular name in, and then realized, other people have it, and then he let someone else fill out he let the algorithm,
it's a
YouTube algorithm, give him a nickname. Great show. Love the Spanish dancing. Very lucky, no injuries. And I too was angry at the half. Yes. What the fuck was that garbage from El Salvador? Our friend Dougie Simonite, your guys' analysis. Pardon me?
Dougie Sims.
Yeah, Dougie Sims. Your guys' analysis is making me glad I made the decision to play Twilight Golf last night. I did have the game on my phone, but I'm glad I wasn't sitting through it. Sir John A., hockey's starting to look pretty tame, eh? AMABs, what a brawl of a game. And knitting all night 418 and this was what I wanted to talk about. Without March taking Concacaf to task, I don't think we get the calls. Copa was the same even after a VAR check for a headbutt on Johnston, for fuck's sakes. So it made me think about everything that, we talked about the aggregate and the conspiracies about Concacaf coming down on Marsh, but it could be a little bit of the other way around too, where Marsh is complaining with, I don't know even if it's complaining, but it's the way he's communicating with Concacaf. Does that get him some calls? Also, because they're like, hey, look, we watched that Curacao match. All of a sudden, some calls are going our way, even though they were the right calls.
Well, that's managerial 101, isn't it? That's what you see every week in various leagues. Post-game press conference, manager making comment about a call, and he has that narrative, keeps busting it every single week. Eventually, you're going to get in the head of the referee, and maybe he'll second guess a call. That's the idea. I don't know, Dubs, do you think that works? Or does it work the other way around? Does it just piss off the officials?
No, I think it works to kind of plant the seed to say, like, we're not going to stand for this, and we're not going to be pushovers. But I think it's more in the fact that we talked about the refereeing in that El Salvador Canada game, is that it's not a referee from Mexico or from Central America. And actually their background is less important, but more about where they toil and apply their trade. That is an MLS referee in Dickerson. And I think that he's well equipped. He understands what he's walking into. And even though I think the second half, there's a reluctance to make some calls, because I think he's cognizant of the fact that the game might have to be called off if more players are sent off. But I think that the assignment of that type of referee to that match is maybe what Canada's getting in the way that, Jesse Marsh is making himself heard. But I think the bigger picture here is that we're getting a preferred 11. We're getting a depth of roster that understands how to navigate CONCACAF. You look at Alistair Johnston, from who he himself, I think, is captain material. He's one of the veterans. He's one of the leaders on this team. But remember, he drops to a knee when he gets headbutted in Copa America. And we talked about that. And he even joked, like, I would have gotten absolutely raked over the coals in Scotland if I'd writhed around on the pitch. And nobody was asking him to do that. But maybe he does a little bit more than just dropping to his knee. So when he takes that elbow to the head and he hits the deck, he doesn't do so in a theatrical manner, but he does enough to where there's no convincing that needs to be done towards the referee to get that call. And that's important, right? That the players recognize how to play smart in CONCACAF.
Yeah. And I would say, going back years ago, El Salvador was much better at that than we were. We were way too honest and wanted to play like a lot of the players did in Europe and in England, and it just didn't work. And they were able to manage matches like that and would get players sent off and do it well. So yeah, we are adapting and we're learning, and the players know that there's a difference between playing in Glasgow as opposed to playing in CONCACAF.
That's it. You understand what you're walking into. Like Evan Pellerud, for he was the coach that was at the helm for the longest time during my career. And he would keep repeating, but especially when he joined the team, he's like, you guys must be more cynical. He didn't want us to lose what made us Canadian and our identity.
Did he use that word?
Yes, and this was
Wow,
maybe and it was something I think that he'd clearly learned because his English improved like from 2000 until he left us after the Olympics in 2008. But he just couldn't understand it, that we're so honest, but honest to a fault, that we weren't going to help ourselves.
Yeah.
And Dubs, you pronounce it clinical.
Okay, that's right.
I must say that the referees are much better than they used to be in Concacaf.
Yeah.
Craig, we talked about I remember us talking about this during World Cup qualifying under Herdman. We're saying we think they've kind of figured it out a little bit. They're playing more cynical. We're seeing our players flop a little bit when they're on the road in CONCACAF. And I think it was Herdman. I think Herdman probably really pushed that. You guys must be more cynical. It's key. But I remember that conversation on this show because for so long, and you were saying, man, we knew this, but it wasn't in our DNA to do that. And we've seen around Europe, again, taking it back to England, for so many years, English players wouldn't dive. And it cost them. And now you watch the Premier League, I don't care where they're from. People are flopping left, right, and center.
But I think it's important to distinguish between flopping and diving and understanding when you've been fouled and just going down. It doesn't have to involve the theatrics and the embellishment, but it's just if you're going to get knocked down and you're fouled, just go to ground.
But there's some players who have it in there. You can tell it's easy for them. Like it's in their wheelhouse. And Richie's one of them. Tajon seems like he's one of them. Because it's like an extra roll when he gets fouled. And it doesn't look like he's being performative, right? It's even De Fougerolles, when he got that ball and shouldn't have been, he kind of moved different. Like he looks like he can, this is part, and I would also add, in Craig's day, in Dubs's day, everyone played multi-sport. Right.
Thank you for saying that we were different days because I'm a day that came well after Craig's day.
Yes, I know. I know. Today you're looking about the same. I sit there and because we all played so many different sports, that approach didn't work in every game. If you get fouled in basketball, falling down doesn't do anything if you have the ball. You can actually use that to go to the hoop. In hockey, if they don't call it, then you lose the puck and the game goes on. What are you laughing at?
It's because you said hoop.
Really?
Stupid.
I saw Dubs laughing too.
I didn't do anything.
But your DNA was brought up on multi-sport.
Yeah, sorry.
And I would argue now a lot of these people are more specialists or played only one or two sports that they can be performative or they can be a little more and lean into the embellishment of it all.
And just to be clear, I don't like this. I understand it's got to be done, right? The genie's out of the lamp, so to speak. I don't like it. I hate it. I hate any kind of embellishment. Can't fucking stand it.
Now, thanks to you, I have Christina Aguilera in my head. Thanks a lot.
Why?
And it's not always embellishment either. I mean,
I'm gonna rub you the right way.
During the Gold Cup before the final, I was telling Carla Corzian that if you get touched in the box, get your ass on the ground.
Yeah.
And he was fouled. But don't stay on your feet like, we're going to play. We're going to battle to stay on your feet because referees don't give those, unfortunately, unless you hit the deck.
Yeah. It's a shame. The game could be so much better without it, but sadly, they won. They won, the people that support such behavior.
What do we expect for this Guatemala? They're ranked over 100. We should beat them, whether handily or not. It's still a Latin American team who will bring in some style and some panache. Craig, what are you looking at?
Well, it's been a long time since Guatemala was a contender in the international Gold Cups for sure. Physically very similar to the El Salvador side. Good little technical players, smart, and but not the best side in CONCACAF by any stretch. It should be a comfortable result for Canada. But they'll just have to be aware of anything that's going on outside of the game, and I think they're well prepared for that.
I think in terms of their offense, they've scored 4 goals, 3 from open play, 1 from the penalty spot, but they've been able to look dangerous on corners where they're able to generate chances and opportunities and shots off of them, even though they haven't converted. And Canada has not looked great defending set pieces. I mean, especially if you use Curacao as your reference point for that, like they were quite poor in that regard, right? And I think this is also a good occasion for Canada to be more ruthless, to be more incisive versus a low block against a team that's going to be good defensively. Can Canada unlock that? And that's something that I don't think they've done effectively or even historically if you look at the past year under Marsh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would expect them to sit pretty deep. But at the end of the day, I mean, El Salvador is all the shit that was going on in that game. They didn't have a shot on net.
Mm-hmm.
They were.
I mean, Max Crepeau probably wanted a little bit of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think gets the net, Forrest?
Oh boy, it's hard to call.
It's telling, isn't it? This is actually a big call.
It is.
Bain had the first 2 games, wasn't great in that second one, but who was? And then in comes Max.
Had nothing to do.
And yeah, exactly, had nothing to do. So
yeah, he could have sat in the he could have sat in the dressing room the entire game. He might have. I don't know. I didn't see him.
It's played in the one half. If I'm going to guess, though, I'm going to say it's Dane. What do you think?
I was going to say the opposite. I don't know if it's what Marsh is going to do, but if I'm that head coach, and because Max had so little to do, I go with Max again. Because I'm equally as confident in both. I don't know if how Dane has performed even factors into it. For me, it's purely about giving Max kind of not necessarily his due, but giving him a proper run out.
Craig, how much is for goalkeepers? How much is it how they perform on the training pitch?
A lot.
It is
a lot. Yeah. And your goalkeeper coach, he's going to be talking to Jesse Marsh as well about what's going on.
Didn't we have a commenter whose name was knitting all night long or knitting all the time? That's Max Crepeau. He was actually typing. He's typing his comment from the keep from behind the net.
Yeah. I think knitting all night should get in touch with Dougie Sims, who likes to go for Twilight Golf.
Oh,
I don't understand Twilight Golf.
Just means you're playing because he lives up north, right? I think he's Prince Albert, and they have the sun longer. They have it till like 10:30, right?
Okay.
11 o'clock. Yeah.
It's evening golf.
Yeah.
Because there's always that time. Sorry, Sharms.
Is it night golf? Are the golf courses with lights?
No.
There are.
No.
There are, but they're not. It's not a popular thing.
Do you use
I'm going to play at night. I'm going to play at night tomorrow night.
No.
Are you? Where?
Yeah.
Don't say that because people come out and try and get your autograph.
Well, Cape Breton. I don't think there'd be too many people finding me there.
Do you use an orange ball when it's night?
Nope.
No?
It's floodlit, for Christ's sake. It's
yeah, but like, wouldn't that wash out?
Easy for us.
Yeah, you got lights. It's actually quite brilliant.
I've never played golf under the lights before.
You can if you want.
It's
a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, actually.
Craig, we do have to bring little Jimmy Sharman out, little Andrew Sharman out golfing.
Yeah, I had my second lesson yesterday.
How did it go?
Good. I'm loving it. I think I might enjoy this game.
It's a great game.
Great game.
Yeah. I've got one more lesson booked. Then I'll hit the course. So let's book it soon then. And
okay.
I'd like to join. I'd like to join. Mel's nanny, when she passed, left her clubs to Mel, who doesn't want to use them. So I have Mel's nanny's clubs.
How tall?
And she was 5 feet.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Well, no, it'll work. I just have to learn how to play.
No, because you won't want to pay $60 to $100 to go golf with 3 foot long, 2 foot long clubs.
Yeah. But if I don't know any different, then how am I going to know?
Yeah, you won't enjoy it.
Clubs.
Yeah, you won't enjoy it.
Golfers on this show, I need to buy a putter. I haven't got a putter. Is that a scam? Like expensive putters? I don't need to buy an expensive putter, do I?
Not
no,
at
you
first.
don't.
No,
thank you. So how
much go on Facebook Marketplace, buy someone's second or third hand clubs, and that's where you go.
No, I've got clubs.
Oh,
I just need a
okay.
putter. I need one a putter. Go to Crappy Tire and just like buy like a cheap putter.
Don't do marketplace. Just go putter.
I don't trust Marketplace. There's psychos in that thing.
I've known guys that spend an awful lot of money on putters, like thousands of dollars on putters. It's not the putter.
Why?
Right.
What makes a $1,000 putter better than a $50 putter?
The guy on the other end of it.
Yeah, fair enough.
You
All
guys,
right,
we didn't even know it, but we did a lifestyle pod today.
You know, we did.
Anything but
the
football.
Anything But Footy podcast.
Yeah.
Brought to you by a
DAZN.
lifestyle brand.
The
DAZN.
lifestyle brand DAZN.
Yes. I wish you can watch the Club World Cup for free all month long. DAZN.com. Sign up right now and make sure you check out our little Club World Cup mini pod, which are taping momentarily with some highlights.
Catch the rest of them. They were so
Yeah.
great this week.
Highlights, and we got some matchups, guys, in the next round. We got the bracket, so we'll break into that. Okay, so thanks everyone for doing this. It's been fun. Another full week. Make sure you like and subscribe to all our podcasts. It really helps, and we'll return in the coming days. Cheers for listening and watching. Bye.
Pride match, BMO tonight.
Mentioned it
Canada,
already.
Costa
Talked about
Rica.
it before you came on.
Yeah,
Good, guys.
Yeah.
Well done. It sounded slightly
and
patronizing.
woman-
I don't mean it to
and-
be.
and Women's Euro we mentioned as well.
Good.
Yeah.
Did you see Rian's smart jacket?
And we also
I have
talked
seen
about
it, yes.
perimenopause. We talked about that.
You did.
Yeah.
It's weird. I didn't
Is
see
it
the
really a thing?
menopause bat signal go up. It's weird.
Navigate.
Now that's a
perimenopause
lifestyle
and menopause.
podcast. Yeah, women
right.
want to hear men talk about that. I tell you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Get your
perspective.
hormone therapy replacement.
Hey,
HDR.
andropause is a real thing too, apparently.
Did you call it
Andropause.
hormone therapy?
That's me. I come
Hormone
over to your
therapy.
house. I come over to your house and take care of things.
Oh,
I need a hormone.
Wonger, coming.
On my way.
The bat signal is a hormone signal.
What's going to be the silhouette?
it's just your wonky finger in the
My
sky.
lucky finger, yeah.
Is it the one finger in the sky? Think about the silhouette. Could be anything.
Okay. And done.
Eight finger.
And